The spark that triggered global chaos. It started with a spark barely noticed by the wider world. A small industrial plant, nestled in a quiet manufacturing zone, exploded in the early hours of a Monday morning. The fire was intense, but short-lived. No fatalities, minimal injuries, and contained within hours. Local news covered it as a routine industrial incident. No international headlines, no viral social media clips. But that fire would quietly shake the world. Within days, medical suppliers reported order delays. Food companies couldn't source specific packaging materials. A pharmaceutical firm halted production after discovering key blister packaging components were unavailable. Behind the chaos, a little-known compound called PVDC, polyvinylidene chloride, and a single factory that the world unknowingly depended on. Before we dive in, hit the like button and subscribe to Process Flow, where we reveal the real-world stories behind factory failures, supply chain breakdowns, and manufacturing secrets that impact everyday life. What is PVDC, and why does it matter? PVDC isn't flashy. It's not a brand or a product consumers recognize. But this synthetic polymer is essential. It acts as a barrier layer, often used in food packaging and pharmaceutical applications. It's the invisible film keeping your deli meat fresh and your microwave meal sealed. It prevents oxygen from degrading your vitamins. It protects medical syringes, IV bags, and even baby formula pouches from contamination. In fact, PVDC is prized for its superior moisture and oxygen resistance, especially compared to common alternatives like PET or EVO. PET, polyethylene terephthalate, is a common plastic used in bottles, films, and food packaging, whereas EVO, ethylene vinyl alcohol, is a barrier resin often used in multi-layer food packaging for its good oxygen barrier properties. Without it, shelf life drops, contamination risks rise, and heat-sealed packaging often fails. The exploded factory wasn't the only PVDC producer, but it was one of very few globally certified to produce food and pharma-grade PVDC in large volumes for Western markets. A quiet collapse spreads worldwide. As the days rolled on, buyers across multiple industries started receiving vague delay emails. Production impacted by upstream supply constraints. Shipments were postponed. Materials were rationed. Some packaging manufacturers stopped taking new orders altogether. Others tried swapping in lower quality films, but quickly failed product safety tests. Within 2 weeks, an international yogurt brand saw its containers leaking. A frozen food supplier was forced to change packaging, shortening shelf life by 40%. A major pill manufacturer failed a blister seal integrity check and had to discard thousands of packs. The root cause, a thin layer of PVDC, is no longer available. The hidden supplier nobody saw coming. The factory was a black box supplier, a term used for manufacturers buried deep in the supply chain. They don't sell directly to big brands or appear on packaging, but they supply the suppliers. This one factory produced PVDC resin that was shipped to compounders, who turned it into film. That film went to packaging converters, who delivered it to food and pharma companies. Most global brands had no idea they were dependent on this one plant until it is gone. And once it was gone, the impact was brutal. Some suppliers couldn't fulfill existing contracts. Others quietly downgraded their materials, leading to complaints, spoiled goods, and product recalls. Several companies only discovered the problem after their packaging failed in real time, not during audits or supplier meetings. Why? Because their Tier 1 packaging suppliers had quietly switched to using PVDC from this factory years earlier without disclosing it. They thought they were sourcing from Europe. Turns out, the base resin came from a now defunct facility half a world away. This wasn't just a supply issue, it was a transparency failure, a blind spot that left brands exposed and powerless. Panic buying, price surges, and poor substitutes. Within a month, PVDC prices soared by more than 600%. Distributors were swamped with requests. Everyone was looking for alternatives, but there weren't many. Substitutes like EVOH and PET couldn't match PVDC's barrier strength. Co-extruded films failed migration tests. Hot fill packaging began delaminating. In some cases, backup materials weren't even compatible with existing sealing equipment. One ready meal brand paused 2 of its product lines. Another resorted to double layering inferior materials, adding weight, cost, and environmental footprint. Even with money on the table, there simply wasn't enough PVDC available anywhere. If you're finding this story eye-opening so far, give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone working in food, pharma, or manufacturing. These are the stories they don't teach in business school, but they impact everyone. A disaster that could have been prevented. The most painful part, this explosion wasn't just unlucky, it was avoidable. A year prior, an internal audit flagged safety concerns at the plant. Outdated control systems, overloaded electrical panels, and no dust extraction measures near the compounding unit. But the site remained operational. Margins were tight, maintenance was deferred. External clients never checked because the factory was certified and compliant. But certification doesn't mean resilience. It means paperwork. And when the lights finally went out, they stayed out for good. Finger-pointing and corporate wake-up calls. As the disruption rippled upward, corporate leaders began asking hard questions. Procurement teams were grilled, supplier maps were redrawn, internal risk audits were launched. Many companies discovered for the first time that critical components of their supply chain had zero redundancy. Worse, they didn't even know who was producing the materials they relied on. One pharma company realized their Tier 1 supplier had been sourcing PVDC from this exact plant without disclosing it. Another food packaging firm found out their European-made film had been blended overseas with resins from the now-destroyed factory. Suddenly, boardrooms began speaking a new language: visibility, traceability, dependency. If it happened once, it will happen again. Here's the terrifying truth no one wants to hear. This wasn't an isolated incident. Around the world, there are thousands of small, critical factories just like it. Many produce obscure compounds that enable food safety, medication storage, or consumer packaging, and many operate on razor-thin margins with aging infrastructure, minimal oversight, and very little contingency planning. And most companies have no idea how many of their products depend on them. The next disruption could shut down another factory, and next time, the ripple effect might be even worse. One small factory, global consequences. This wasn't just a fire. It was a spotlight. It revealed how modern supply chains are efficient but not resilient, how companies can be global in scale, yet blind in depth, and how the smallest, most obscure link can quietly hold everything together until it doesn't. So the next time you open a snack pack, unwrap a medical syringe, or pop a tablet from a blister, remember, behind that layer of protection may lie a factory no one ever talks about until it's gone. If you found this video helpful, tap the like button, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway, and subscribe to Process Flow. We bring you the factory stories behind the headlines and the hidden vulnerabilities shaping our world.